Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, the U.S. government has its first ever federal chief AI officer, and generative AI use is escalating rapidly in federal agencies. It's Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Now let's get into the day's top headlines. For the first time ever, the federal government has a federal chief artificial intelligence officer. Greg Barbaccia has begun to refer to himself as the Federal CAIO, in addition to his current role as the federal government's chief information officer. A recent interview with CNBC referred to him this way, and a federal official focused on AI confirmed to FedScoop that Barbaccia had used the title in a recent meeting. Also, in a social media post last week, Barbaccia used both titles. The new title comes amid the Trump administration's continued focus on federal adoption of artificial intelligence. And it follows the White House AI Action Plan, which was released last week and endorsed transformative use of AI that can help deliver the highly responsive government the American people expect and deserve. Still, the AI Action Plan makes no mention of a new position of CAIO for the whole federal government. Neither does the executive order that established the council or subsequent Office of Management and Budget actions. There was no federal CAIO in the Biden administration, and it's not clear if any formal action has been taken to establish the position. As federal CIO, Barbaccia leads the CIO Council, which coalesces chief tech leaders from across the federal government. He also appears to be leading the Chief AI Officers Council, which brings together CAIOs from across the federal government to streamline the technology's adoption. CAIOs are supposed to represent the AI work being done at various federal agencies. Information on the status of that body has been limited, but the group seems to have met recently. The AI Action Plan called for the formalizing of the body as the primary venue for interagency coordination and collaboration on AI adoption, which could theoretically give the role of federal CAIO quite a bit of influence. In other news, federal agencies are increasingly turning to generative artificial intelligence to further their missions, according to a new watchdog report that found use cases of the emerging technology jumped by ninefold in a selection of nearly a dozen agencies last year. In a report published Tuesday, the Government Accountability Office said generative AI use cases across a group of 11 federal agencies increased from 32 to 282 cases from 2023 to 2024 per an analysis of those agencies' inventories. The GAO laid out several ways these agencies harnessed generative AI last year, stating the technology can, quote, improve written communications, information access efficiency, and program status tracking, unquote. Examples included the Department of Veterans Affairs using automation for medical imaging processing in veterans' diagnostic services, along with the Department of Health and Human Services initiative to extract information from publications regarding the containment of the polio virus. HHS reported the largest jump of the 11 agencies, going from 7 generative AI use cases in 2023 to 116 in 2024, according to the report. The Department of Homeland Security had the second largest uptick, going from 5 to 36 uses between 2023 and last year. The report showed that even agencies that reported few to no use cases in 2023 increased their use the following year. For example, the VA, State Department, and Commerce Department each went from 1 use case in 2023 to 27, 18, and 17 respectively. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit FedScoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, as always, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.